You're jumping ahead.
Fucking hell!
He's like to be in a center show. Yeah, but you jumping.
I've just been attacked.
Well then,
we did legs today.
we're on this sofa again.
And we had a long day, so we might be a little bit tired, but hey ho.
Well, we visited this new Ultraflex in Leeds.
Yes, I'm.
Nice place. It's a
I'm
nice
impressed.
Place. A lot
I'm
of equipment.
impressed.
Sauna, ice bath, good stuff.
I would definitely be using that sauna. It looked really nice, and
if we would be from Leeds, Leeds, that would be
my choice of gym.
Yeah, I think they have 3 now in there. Yeah, so out of the 3, that would be.
It's biting me.
It's a good idea to flip the monitor so I can see.
Yeah.
So out of the 3, that would be my choice to use.
Yeah.
But out of all of the Ultraflexes that
Durham is still wins my heart.
Yes, Northeast Mecca in Durham. That's still my choice.
It's got the soul.
Yeah, it's just something about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's the best in UK.
Yeah.
Will you stop?
But what do I know?
We don't know. We know nothing.
Yeah, but it's any of them. It's a lovely facility to train.
Yeah, they're really high standard, aren't they? Any Ultraflexes.
For those who work out, if you've never been, I urge you to and encourage to visit an Ultraflex gym. Try it out. Feel the vibe. Feel the vibe.
I'm getting...
It's late. It's Sunday night. We have almost 9:30.
Yep.
But it's time to chat a little bit.
It's time to chat.
I forgot can't be asked to go and pick up my phone there.
What?
But as I was saying to you, I thought it would be nice for you to talk about you growing up. Probably sounds weird. It's not weird, but that's not a right thing that I want you to dive in. It's more to do with your self-worth as a woman.
Maturing up.
And maturing up, and thought process what was going through your mind, the validation of yourself through what mechanisms that came about.
So,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what prompted this was the message that you got, and it reminded me of how I used to be.
Yeah.
And not one person. There's loads of women and girls we speak to, and you recognize that young self where you think, I've been there, and it's so frustrating that you can't just take your own experience and just
download it into something.
Just clone it and copy paste it onto somebody and just have it, and don't do my mistakes like you do now.
Yeah, but you're jumping ahead.
Fucking hell!
He's like to be in a center show. Yeah, but you're jumping.
I've just been attacked.
I know, right? You're jumping ahead. What I was trying to get out of you is how do you got to that stage through what validation or self-worth were you trying to achieve? Do you know what I'm getting?
As a girl, when you're growing up, at least in my circle of people, my parents and any other women, there was as well girlfriends. There was this pressure, the social pressure that you had to have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're not good enough. So you would settle for any kind of boyfriend as long as you can say that, I do have a boyfriend, no matter how much of a dick they are. It would be just, and you get that ingrained that you need somebody.
Even if it's a toxic relationship, right?
Yeah, because I don't know, you're 17, you're 20, whatever, but you get that pressure that if you don't have a boyfriend at this age, you might become an old and crude and nobody will want you, and there's a stigma to that you don't, if you don't have a boyfriend, whereas like
boyfriend, husband,
you don't need, you need to find yourself first. That's what I'm understanding at 30, almost 5 now. That's what I'm understanding, that all those years and all that energy I spent yearning for a man, I could have developed further. Within myself,
invested in your own self-development,
done
self-understanding,
things,
right?
and I mean, even I didn't have many long-term relationships, but even my longest relationship, that wasn't. I was paying for everything. I was. I didn't get to a stage where I was fueling his car, but one of my girlfriends was doing that same with her boyfriend, where she was like fueling his car so that because he was driving her around. I mean, to one extent, it's fair enough if you're driving me around. Okay, I need to chip in, but yeah, I was paying for everything. I was buying him clothes. Because I was really wanting that sensation, that feeling of
that you mattered, you belong, you
yes, that you
creating a worth of some sort.
You're creating. You want that. You play the family, so you want that feeling of that you have somebody to care for, and and. I'm pretty sure he cheated on me at that time. I didn't know. I suspected. I didn't know. But when I moved to another town, I met another guy.
City. Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, carry
on. It's a town.
It's a city.
Oh, yeah, Kona City. Yeah, sorry. I met another guy, and he was giving me the false impression of intimacy, of being treated well, but only on his terms. So
by this point, are you and the current boyfriend still together, or?
Oh no, so it's a funny story because I moved to another city to study, and we were still doing this long-term relationship. It wasn't really working. We both knew that, but we kept meeting over weekends.
Whoever's gonna ditch it first, right?
Spending time together, but it was just not working.
Yeah.
So I went back to my study city, and I was getting ready for lectures, and I remember like now, I was wearing my beautiful dress and my hair was done. I was still preparing some soup or something like dinner for later when I could get back. And somebody knocks on the door. And I open the door and here he is, stands there.
Divine human being.
Well,
right?
He was my taste, my type.
Yeah.
So I opened the door and there was this instant connection. Well,
for those
who
missed it, now you already given up on relationship.
Not yet.
Not out. Okay.
So I'm meeting this guy. Like,
right. Okay.
He knocked on my door out of nowhere.
Time. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
And I opened the door, and there he is.
The Thor himself.
Well, I mean, yeah. So there was this instant. I don't want to say connection, but this lust. Chemistry, something, because he felt it, because I saw it in his eyes. Like,
the sexual tension, right?
Ooh, he liked what he saw, and I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
And we ended up, because we lived in like a student accommodation.
Yeah.
So we lived with another couple of girls that they came to visit them. But I opened the door. So we ended up partying that night because all of a sudden they had a party.
As you do as a student?
And that's how we met. So the weekend after, I got back home to my hometown and
Current boyfriend?
to the current boyfriend at the time, and I said, well, listen, it's not working. And he didn't argue or anything. He was like, yeah, no. Can we still be friends? I'm like, yeah. So he walked me home. We said goodbyes and never spoke to each other again. But that's and then I started my one-sided relationship with this new guy.
That you thought that it was two-sided relationship.
I wanted it that much that it was in my head. It was two-sided. Yes,
yeah.
but
so your judgment was clouded.
To some extent, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it was a long time ago, but I kind of understood that it's not a real relationship. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. We didn't have but I expected him to.
All right. So put it into perspective. So somewhere deep inside, you kind of knew or grasped the situation that this is sort of like not going. Something's not right.
Yeah. Because
But were you still expecting?
Oh yeah.
For that to become something more meaningful.
I understood that he was the type of man that.
She's not talking about me, by the way.
No. He was a type of a man that he knows he's handsome.
Yeah.
And he knows he can have most of the girls in the room.
Right, okay.
So I understood.
Building? Room?
Well.
Okay. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit.
No, what I mean is if there's women
Party
around,
stuff, yeah.
he can pick and choose.
Right, okay.
And he knew it. So
Stood.
he wasn't a dick. That was the
Didn't say dick, I said stood.
I know, but he wasn't a dick about he wasn't arrogant or anything,
Right.
but
Not narcissistic, sort of like.
But I understood that he's all women's man rather than my own, but I wanted him for myself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so weeks went by and we kept seeing each other because we lived in the same building.
Yeah.
So it was easy.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we lived
Same floor?
on the same floor, and then later we moved, and I think anyway, it was funny because so that was the start of this expected relationship. I don't know how to call it, but I felt like I want to move things forward with him, and he was never.
Make it
he would come when he wanted to. He would call me or message me and invite me to his or come to mine whenever he wanted to. But when I needed him,
I just want to spend time together or whatever.
He was never there. He wouldn't even answer my messages or anything sometimes. So it was, or answer, but like not give me like, I can't today, and that's it. So it was really one-sided, and I wanted it more than he did.
So my question is like, what, other than the looks and the chemistry or the lust, whichever the way you want to call it, what drew you towards it? Like him or it as a relationship?
I think I think being young, I mixed lust to love.
Right, okay.
I thought that, he's the one because he makes my knees weak. And like I liked, it was instant, and it was, butterflies in my stomach or whatever.
Yeah.
He would brighten the day when he came. And so I thought I had an idea of how a man would make me feel.
Right.
How his presence would make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I mixed that with, I never said it actually. You're the only person that I said that. Because, but yeah, it felt that way, and I thought that he's the one.
Yeah.
But deep in my mind, there was this kind of thing going where something's fishy.
Okay.
So yeah, and then he ended up having another girlfriend
while still playing relationship
yeah,
with you.
Yeah, and
Right.
and then another girlfriend. So
Oh wow.
yeah, it was the fact was that while he was with me, he would make me feel like a queen. And that was the sinister thing, I think, to do on his part.
Trick you in it.
Give
you hope.
Yeah.
Of longing.
That false feeling of intimacy.
Yeah.
That false feeling of relationship. And then you step back and piss off and do whatever and go back to your girlfriend. But the thing is, and I want your opinion as a man, like, you don't do it. You don't plan things like that. You just like use a girl for entertainment.
I'm not quite sure if I get you. You don't plan things. What do you mean by saying you don't plan?
Well, I mean, it's not like, oh yeah, I wanna fuck her, so
some people
I'll treat her that way a little bit, and
it depends. I would say I can't speak for all men, but the way I see it, it depends. It purely depends from your intentions, right? So maybe your headspace, being a devil's advocate, I suppose, maybe your headspace is somewhere where you, let's say, I can't decide, right? But the moment you have one girlfriend and still keeping you, I don't know, on a leash if you wish, then you have another one still keeping you on a leash. Now that becomes intentional. So I have you on the side anytime I want, but it's not by accident. So I'm not giving you false hopes and expectations, just like, oh, it just happens, I'm just nice to you, and you think that is now that thing becomes intentional. You know full well, and whoever says that they don't, you're lying. You know full well what you're doing, and I must admit, yeah, I'm not saying I've done it myself in the past, in my life. You know full well what you're doing. Like when you play these games, you know that you're doing it to another person. So that, what you just said, is a sinister thing, because, well, let's admit it, it's not really a nice thing to do to another human being that wants to have more meaningful relationship, and you're giving this lie, false hope that, yeah, we're actually doing it, but you never actually get to a point where that becomes serious. So it's just a play for one person, but that feels real to you. So
I think,
if that makes any sense.
To me, it was, I mean, I don't know. I'm not defending him. I'm not, I don't want to badmouth him. I was as stupid as I was, and I let this happen to me. So some responsibility is on me, but I think the pressure from society, the not knowing what a good relationship is, what a healthy relationship is, made me susceptible to that kind of thing where you give in to these false, I don't know how to call it, just false little feeds of attention, and you think that, oh, that's okay, and he makes me feel alive when he's here and I want him. But so I think over the years, especially from relationship with you, what I've learned is, it is true, if it doesn't feel, if a relationship makes you confused, something's not right.
Have you felt in that, let's call it relationship, if we can call it a relationship, have you ever felt like alone or lonely?
I mean, all the time whenever he wasn't around.
Right, so, but then we're talking now years, like a lot of years later. Now it would be a cue to you that this is not right.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't let myself into a relationship like that.
Whereas before, when you were way much younger, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, it's just how I am understanding what you're saying. When you were younger, that need to be validated somehow, or feel that sort of worth.
As I said, it was the fact that you would accept that kind of boyfriend, even though he's not your boyfriend, as a boyfriend, because that's how you feel enough, because now you have some
society.
You can tell
you've been programmed,
that,
if you wish, that way.
I'm dating this guy, so there's hope for me to get married.
Now I'm good enough.
Yeah.
And how much of a lie is that?
And I appreciate it. You want that intimacy, you want that connection with somebody, but it needs to be mutual. And as hurtful as it sounds, if you feel confused in a relationship or lonely in a relationship and it's not working, you're much better off being alone. Universe is telling you, be alone at this point, rather than get yourself back into something toxic like this. And I mean, I had girlfriends who were trying to, well, they were in relationships with married men, and as funny as it sounds, but I always admired their arrogancy and saying like, oh, but he's not having a good relationship with his wife, and he's not happy and I make him happy. No, bitch, they're using you for entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not going to leave their wife and kids, or if they're going to do, it's not going to be because of you.
Yeah.
And
that's the sad part.
If a man is, I mean, what you have to question always, if a man is committed to somebody else, why is he here spending time with you and not putting effort into his committed relationship?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you would listen to their friends, and you would try and advise them, but they wouldn't listen, and they would think that false intimacy, that false relationship is true, but it isn't. So I guess my point is, like, if something happened now, like we went apart, and I would probably be alone for a long, long time until I met somebody that is worthy of my time, rather than I'm trying to fit into be worthy for somebody. Like I would want to keep my partner up. Like in our relationship, I am trying to do my best to be worthy of you, but I have expectations from you to be worthy of me as well now, rather than just being it one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how I remember myself years ago, and I think it only hit me at my 30th, where I really felt that I'm standing with my both feet on the ground and I can say things out loud, even to you, like, you know, I can say my opinion. I don't need to be afraid of, basically I validated myself at that point. I don't need to be afraid of you saying, oh, you're not right, you're not good enough or something, because within me I know I'm good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not waiting, not expecting somebody else to say that anymore. And I wish somehow women would spend time with themselves and learn that. And I don't know how to. At a younger age,
way much younger age than your 30s.
Yeah, because you don't have, like, I've been in, like, dating guys I didn't want to, but because
that false impression
that oh, that might go into somewhere, that might grow that into something and
worthy of something.
Yes, but I wasted so much time on this, and effort and energy. Do you know, I should have been reading a book or something rather than doing this purely for that false connection with somebody. And I know to some extent, if you don't go out there, if you don't date, if you don't meet people, you're never gonna find that soulmate of yours.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the way I see it, right? No one says like don't go into relationship, right? But don't stay in that relationship for years if you feel straight away that you feel lonely, alone, that's kind of toxic, you have a narcissistic man.
I guess.
It's like if you get a cue that something's not right, it is not right.
Yes, and I was, to some extent, I have to pat myself on the back that way. That's why I never had a long-term relationship with, well, I had long-term relationship, but not many. Long-term, I mean, 8 months. That was longest before you. But if I saw something I don't like about the person, that will be it. With that guy, it was more, I was really mixing up sexual attraction with mental connection. Spiritual,
sort of
and because I didn't have my self-worth developed yet, I accepted that for so long, and I kept let him back in my life whenever he pleased, just because I thought, okay, so maybe now he's coming to me, and that will be it. Maybe this is the time. So it went on for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. I can't remember, to be honest. Or maybe a year. I don't know, when did we meet?
2009.
2009, when did I? So probably about 2 years, roughly.
I remember that you were still going like at it when we started speaking and meeting up and whatnot.
So around 2 years I was, he was like coming back. We would have, I don't want to call it, it wasn't a relationship. He would just come as he wanted. We would go out or meet, and
you lied and used you, basically.
Yes, and I let him. That's a
but
part. But I let him
because it was not a conscious.
Because I really wanted it to work. Because,
a relationship, basically.
Yes, because whenever he was around, I felt good. I felt treated well, and.
But that was a lie.
It was
created for you to sort of like feel that way.
Yes, I mean he probably was sincere when he was with me, but then he wasn't gonna go any further, and he knew it. But I had the other false impression. So that was the longest I let myself being treated like that, like booty call, basically.
There's the thing that. I'm trying to figure out how to formulate this question correctly. So, at the time when you were still dating him and we started talking, maybe met once or twice, something like that, like what made you actually think that, oh, I'm gonna leave this relationship that you think that for a couple of years now maybe will work, and try something like with that, like you and me together? Plus, at the given time, we're not even living at the same country. You're in Lithuania, I'm already living in UK.
So at that time, me and my sister, we moved out, didn't we? So at that time, we already lived
accommodation
in a different building, different part of town even.
Yeah.
So it was even more difficult for him to booty call. But we weren't meeting regularly. When we started talking, I probably met him once in that half a year.
Right. Yeah.
And that was about it. So at that point, when you appeared in my life, I already said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna focus on my studies." Because I was in karate team, I'm gonna do sports, studies, and I had a job in hospital, so I'm gonna work. That's it. 3 things I'm gonna do. I don't care. And at that time, I was talking to you and another guy, And I think when you asked me on a date, I was choosing who am I going to go tonight with.
50-50.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so there's a double booking here. What am I going to do? It was August or summertime. And
August, yeah.
Yeah, I think you called first and you said, well, yeah, let's go. And I went and we had that date. And nothing happened.
I know what did it for you, right? I texted you. You couldn't text me back because I'm very eager, as you know. I called you.
You called me,
I actually called you. And that's how I sort of like won you.
There were a couple of things that I liked about you straight away. That you got out of car when you came to pick me up instead of just waiting in the car. Yeah.
With the tracksuit. Gentleman with the tracksuit.
I wasn't bothered about tracksuit. I was more bothered about the manners.
Yeah.
But after that date, when I came back home and I told my sister, well, yeah, nothing's going to pan out of this because you're not my type. I'm not your type. And you live in UK. So, yeah, it was a nice date, nice guy, but not for me. Yeah. And that was it. But then you texted me along later because you were bored.
Charm job.
And I was bored at work.
We talked.
We talked. And I think what did it for us is that we talked a lot and we found out that we share very similar values about things. And at that point, I started feeling different feelings rather than lust, rather than all the butterflies in my stomach. I'm not gonna lie, there were butterflies when we started dating. I was in that honeymoon stage when we started, but to begin with, getting to know you woke some different feelings in me where I realized
to understand emotions.
I realized that, oh shit, that's love.
Yeah.
And then when we met second time, I knew it was love.
Yeah.
Rather than just second guessing myself, like, oh, I think I love him. I knew it. So and that was the difference between the relationships. But yeah, to answer your question, at the time when we started talking, nothing made me say like, oh, I'm giving up on him. Mm-hmm. I gave up on all the seeking for relationship altogether because I was so tired of being treated. I think I started to recognize that I don't like the feeling of being called on demand and appear for somebody available rather than when I need somebody to hug me or, I don't know, caress me.
I don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was. And I mean, our relationship when it started, it wasn't what it is now. I think we've done well growing together and maturing together, but that took a lot of like pain within that time because we had to have a lot of conversations, a lot of honest talks.
And that's, I think, that is what people do not understand these days, or they lacking, is trying to communicate with one another. Like, literally. That's one thing. And another one, it's a funny thing. When you said, like, that's it, I'm done with relationship. I'm focusing on myself, your sports, your work, your studies. At the same time, I was going through exactly the same after my breakup and whatnot. And when we spoke, I told you that for me it was, that's it. I done with relationships, all that. I'm now gonna focus on me. And if it happens, I'll know when it's the right one, right time. So if you wish,
Click the
yeah, the universe sort of like done, oh, so you want to focus on yourself, like try focusing on yourself together and see whether that grows somewhere. And to my knowledge and the way I understand things now and the way I see things now, to this day, that's the way we did it and still do it, if you wish. Yeah, sometimes slower, sometimes faster, whichever pace, but we sort of like develop ourselves and work on ourselves. Like you do you, I do whatever I do, to be good for one another.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to be someone I'm not to please you or whatever you need, and you don't do that to me. We just try to develop ourselves the best we can to be the best versions of ourselves to each other.
Yes.
And when people miss that link, that's when you get into relationships where you try to please another person by trying to be someone you're not. But that lie ends sooner or later.
And it is deeper than that. So you have, because sometimes you come out of one relationship like this and you go back into another relationship like this, and there's a vicious circle, and you just continue. So you have to dig deeper into your life, what happened to you, how it happened to you. Maybe your parents were using you for comfort, and now you are getting love in the same way the parents gave you love.
Yeah.
Maybe your parents, it all comes down back to how you used to get love when you were a child.
All the way to
and then you start
relationships
thinking, because your parents or your close circle when you're a child, they set up the models for relationships.
Yeah.
Whatever movies you watch, whatever things you are told, they all ingrain that in you, that, oh, this is how you're gonna get love now. Yeah. So sometimes that's why we love a baddie. Us women, we love when we're treated like shit, because do you know? And another thing I recognized is a guy messaged me about getting some insults for him, and he's a baddie. I know he would bully me if we were children. He would be the bully, and all of a sudden I get this you want to please him, you want to give him all the information, and you're like, hold on, he'd be a dick if he didn't need anything from you.
Yeah.
So okay, so I stayed professional, I gave him the information needed, but I didn't give him free stuff. Whereas we just love being treated like crap, and that's not good. So you need to really set back.
You have to heal to be able to go into a different relationship.
The thing is, you need to recognize
exactly the same relationship that you had before.
You need to recognize that you need to heal. If you continue going back into relationships or pleasing somebody, even if it's not a relationship per se, but pleasing somebody that is treating you or mocking you, you need to step back and think, what makes me do that? Why am I seeking approval and love this way?
Yeah. So
and then try and heal that inner child, give them love the way it's meant to be given. It should be unconditional. It shouldn't be, you need to be good so you'll get love that way.
Yeah.
And
it's not an easy work to do.
It's
yourself.
Not. It requires
you have to go to places that you probably don't want to go, and your mind is blocking it. But
yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes parents would treat a child in a certain way, and not in a my parents or your parents, they did things to their best abilities. They wanted to raise as well good community members, wouldn't they? But they would form you things into your head, like you need to act in a certain way
and then accepted,
and then they'll give you love. If you misbehave, even if you didn't misbehave but they thought that you misbehaved, they would punish you. So all that really piles on as you grow, and then you start pleasing people that treat you like shit, and you think that because they throw a bit of attention towards you, you think that that's love.
That's love. Yeah. The hardest part is, like, it's hard to sort of admit that to yourself, you know, that you need to sit down, recognize patterns and the things you're going through. Maybe from one relationship to another one and whatever. And people don't recognize it most often just because they are so distracted by everything. The world and the technology that we have. If you just ground yourself for like 5 minutes, morning, day, midday, nighttime, just feel the end of your fingertips and just focus on that. There's just
feel the breath.
Just simple example, just that, or just sit down, do nothing, think nothing, switch everything off, and just try and hear your breathing, like for 2 minutes. If you can't do it for 5, for a minute, and you'll start noticing things. And that's, I suppose, where you can start recognizing and understanding yourself better.
I suppose.
Anyway, we went on a tangent.
Yeah. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
It's a deep topic.
It should have been short. It's been almost an hour.
It's a deep topic, and my message to take home would be: don't be afraid to be alone.
It's not a bad thing.
You will not be lonely, I promise you. If you need to be alone, you need to befriend yourself. You need to love that child in yourself. Give the love they didn't get, the unconditional love, where you, regardless how you're gonna act, you will be loved. Give that. Shower yourself with attention. Shower yourself with self-reflection, and then you will not be lonely. Then you will open up new gates for you, and a true relationship will come in. And another person, your partner or your boyfriend or however you want to call it, they're not going to make you happy. You are going to make you happy. But what you need to make sure that you do as a couple is that you grow together. You make each other, not each other, but you make yourself better and they make themselves better. And then you can
contribute together.
Go in a parallel line together through this life, rather than cling onto somebody and put your happiness into their hands, because that's a very vulnerable position to be.
Yes.
And you'll never be happy if you don't make yourself happy. That's my take-home message.
It's a nice thing to say, to finish on that thought. I was
on that thought.
So yeah, those who are watching, thank you for watching and listening. So subscribe, like, comment. We do like speaking with people, so if you write comments, we'll speak with you. If you DM us, we'll chat with you. So yeah, share it with a friend or two, at least with one. If you found this useful, maybe they will find it useful too. And we'll speak to you in the next one.
Peace out.
Bosh.